Well, thank you so very much, Kanchanji, for the introduction and for inviting me to Boston. You're right, I should have started with Boston and then disseminated my message to the rest of the country. But as they say, better late than never, and I'm very happy to be here. I want to thank the Indian Association of Greater Boston for hosting this event, and more important, for giving me the opportunity to meet so many different strands of Indian society in the Boston area. I always believe that the strength of India lies in its diversity, but in diversity also lies the unity of our country. And as someone mentioned, many roots but one tree. And I think that's the most important message, is that we may come from different parts of the country, we may be ethnically different, we may follow different spiritual aspects of our inclination, but what is important is that we represent one nation, and when we come together, we are all Indians. We are not from Maharashtra or West Bengal or Kerala or Jammu and Kashmir. We are Indians, and I think this is the sense you get when you meet so many of our compatriots here, so many people of Indian origin. I think it's a sense of great pride that in this Boston area we have such a successful community of professionals, entrepreneurs, academics, and it's a great honor for me to be here along with my colleague, Consul General Ambassador Sandeep Chakravarti, who handles this area in terms of consular jurisdiction and has very effectively handled our outreach to the northeastern part of the United States. And we're, I think, fortunate to be able to take advantage of the fact that we have a much better connect with this part of the country. And I heard various speakers talk about consular camps, visa camps, different activities designed to cater and reach out to the community. And I think that's what we're all about. But what is also, I think, important is that the focus of the current government is very much in ensuring that the Indian diaspora, Indian communities all over the world, and I think we're about 25 million all over the world, is a strength that we need to, in a very loose sense, without diluting your national commitments and priorities as US citizens or citizens of other countries, come together in the form of an Indianness. And I think one very telling episode and manifestation of that was the Howdy Modi event in Texas, in Houston, earlier this year. It was a historic and unprecedented occasion because for the first time, you had the Prime Minister of India, of another country outside the United States, addressing a gathering of over 50,000 Indian Americans. But along with him was the President of the United States and senators, congressmen, governors from different parts of the US. And that, in many senses, was absolutely extraordinary. And I think after that event, when I traveled in some remote parts of India, everywhere I went, people told me that we saw the Howdy Modi event live. So I said, wasn't it late in the evening? And they said, no, we all stayed awake to watch this event. This was the biggest event in India for a long time to come. It was an evocation of great sense of pride that the President of the United States would be with our Prime Minister, would address such a large gathering of Indian Americans. For many Indians, it was a coming of age. It was a sense that today we have come of age. Here is a very successful community in the US. They've come to welcome our Prime Minister. And with that welcome has come the President of the largest, most powerful country in the world, the United States of America. So I think this is something that we cannot minimize. It's something that is significant. It will remain significant, but it also is a telling illustration of our relationship. Today, we enjoy a very close and multifaceted relationship with the United States. It's a unique relationship. We have come very far, very fast. If you look back 15, 20 years ago, we would not have ever imagined that we'd be in this situation where the United States is a strategic partner, where we have the largest military exercises with this country, where we have a defense relationship that is unique, where we work together with the US and other partners to bring about what we see as a transparent, open, inclusive Indo-Pacific region, where we have the largest trading relationship with the United States, we have the largest investor relationship. It's a very, very unique relationship. And of course, I think in some senses, this is also in some a representation of what India is today. Many of you would be visiting India, you'd be familiar. But I think a few facts is what I want to bring to your attention. One, of course, is that we are an economy that has grown very fast in the recent past. It took us 60 years to attain our first $1 trillion. It took 12 years after that to attain our second $1 trillion. And it took only 5 years, from 2014 to 19, to get our third trillion. And in the next 5 years, we have the vision of becoming a $5 trillion economy. In 2014, when the government of Prime Minister Modi came into office, we were the 11th largest economy in the world. Today, we are either the 5th or the 6th largest economy in the world. And I think that is an illustration, again, of the sort of unprecedented growth that has been achieved. Obviously, we are also influenced by global factors. We are influenced by many other factors. Dr. Panagaria had spoken about it earlier in the symposium today. Others have spoken about it. And I think from all accounts, the scenario is an optimistic one. And why are we different and why is it optimistic for India? One, of course, I think is that we are among the youngest countries in the world today. Average age in India is 29 years. We will have the largest productive workforce in the world. In comparison to many other countries, including China, with its one-child policy, I think we will have the unique advantage of a demographic dividend. We also, I think, have many other significant advantages which are quite unique. After almost 50 years, we've had a government that has been elected consecutively on two different occasions, in 2014 and 2019. For the first time, we have a prime minister and a party that has an absolute majority since 1984. This is something that is unique because we've been used to coalition governments over a period of time. But what this brings to us is stability, political stability, and stability in the policy-making domain, which is very important when we look at the economy, when we look at a country that the young people in India want to see, a strong, stable, prosperous India. I think that is what we today have. There are many important initiatives that the government has taken in the economic field, in the field of socio-economic development. When we talk about growth, we talk about sustainable and inclusive growth. We want to make sure that all sections of our population have the benefit of that growth. It is not inequitable, it is not lopsided. And that growth also extends to our neighborhood. We want to make sure that our neighbors also grow with us. Kanchanji spoke about Bangladesh. We have invested about $10 billion in the growth and development of Bangladesh. Today, it is growing at 8%. Because it is growing rapidly, it has benefited our states of India that are around Bangladesh. So there is a synergy there. There is a win-win situation. There is a mutuality of benefit. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas really means that it also includes our neighborhood, not just us. So, of course, I think those dynamics are good. One factor I wanted to bring, because this comes up very often in the public discourse, particularly in certain sections of the media and perhaps even of academia in the United States, and that is a very bold decision that the government has taken in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Modi was very widely feted when he addressed the community at the Howdy Modi event in Houston. Every point he made received a great amount of applause, but the one issue that received the maximum resonance was when he spoke about the abrogation Article 370. And this is what I keep telling many of our political interlocutors I meet in the United States, is that Article 370 could not have been abrogated without a constitutional amendment. It required 2/3 majority for the two bills to pass in both houses of parliament. The government, the ruling party and the ruling coalition does not have a 2/3 majority. It means that the opposition has cross-voted in favor of these bills because this is such a popular decision. And if you look at some opinion polls in India, there's over 90% approval for what is a long required decision to change the status quo in Jammu and Kashmir. And what is the status quo? For the last 30 years, we have lost 42,000 lives through terrorism, militancy, and radicalism. We had a political elite in the state that, using the cover of Article 370, which did not allow for an audit of the expenditure, did not have watchdogs such as an anti-corruption bureau, siphoned off much of the funds that the center had provided for the development of the state. In the last 15 years, the center has allocated $40 billion for the development of Jammu and Kashmir. This is 10 times more than we allocate for any other state in India. But very little of it percolated down to our citizens in that state. At the grassroots levels, people did not see the benefit of that. Article 370 also actively precluded investments and entrepreneurship. As a result, people did not have employment. The economy was moribund. It created a fertile ground, again, for radicalism and militancy and terrorism. And so we had to do something to change the status quo. What we have done in terms of abrogating Article 370 is in the interest of development of the state, to provide and secure socio-economic justice for the people of the state, and to provide good governance at the end of the day. And we are talking about enormous changes, in terms of economic development. 50,000 jobs have been opened up. We've had the apple farmers for the first time are able to market their apples in the domestic market successfully. We have seen a huge amount of interest in investing in sectors such as horticulture, tourism, areas that are important for Jammu and Kashmir. Education, healthcare, these are areas that have hardly any investment in Jammu and Kashmir. And all of these are, in a way, designed to make sure that the people of Jammu and Kashmir have a good future and off restrictions and movement in communications. But I'm happy to tell you that all that is gone. There are no restrictions in our communications. There are no restrictions on the movement of people. There is absolutely normalcy in bus services, air services, train services. People are going to school, to offices are open, life is normal. And that is despite the best efforts of those terrorist groups like the Hizbul Mujahideen and the Lashkar-e-Toiba, who have put up posters throughout the city, intimidating people, intimidating children not to go to school, people not to attend offices, apple farmers not to send their crop to the market. Despite these efforts, I think today people of Jammu and Kashmir have voted with their feet. They've gone out and life is completely normal. For anybody who's interested, the Embassy of India, our Consulate General, has a website, has a section of our website devoted to Jammu and Kashmir. You'll have the latest information there. I'm saying this because some of you in your work, in your interactions, and your let's say even with your friends, this issue may come up. What are we accused of? We are accused of committing genocide. We are accused of a major lockdown in communications. We're accused of human rights violations. Let me tell you, not one person has died since we initiated this policy on the 6th of August on account of security actions. So there is absolutely no question of human rights violations. Our security forces have acted with great restraint. And despite provocations from terrorists, from militants who have lobbed grenades in public places, killed migrant laborers, attacked apple farmers, they have maintained that record of not a single person being killed in a state where every day, tens of people were killed or wounded. So this is a great change, and I think this is a change that we must all support. And really, I think people who you interact with should support, because this is a change for the better. This false narrative that is going out, that this is genocide, this is a human rights violation, that these are, there is a huge lockdown, this is a absolute grave situation. And to look at it in religious terms, Hindu and Muslim, India and Pakistan, is looking at everything in black and white, not understanding where we come from, not understanding the India we belong to, the fast changing and fast developing country that we are a part of. I think that is important, that you as from the Indian community, persons of Indian origin, understand where